Today, our presentation will be on Pear Deck. It's a little long because there's a lot. Pear Deck can actually do a lot of things. Now, I know that there was a teacher that reached out and said if the district was going to purchase the premium for us. I don't know. I don't have control over that. Unfortunately, I don't know if the district is in a place to buy the premium package. I know that at the end of, in the spring, a lot of places, companies were offering these services for free to people, and you had access to everything. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to happen again for September. I know Epic has now allowed everyone to have their services for free for the whole school year, for the September school year. You don't have to pay. I'm sure other people will follow suit, but I don't know. So I really don't have any control over, that sense, but there are still parts of Peer Deck that you can use in terms of the free aspect of it. And you do get 90 days of the premium package when you first sign up. So I just wanted to give you.
I have a question on Peer Deck. So as we learned this today, it's really us signing up for the basic, correct? There's like a basic account.
So you'll get the premium for the first 90 days.
Okay, and then after that, it's up to us if we're going to pay for it, because we don't want to pay anything out of pocket.
Right. So you can still use Peer Deck with its free features. There are still a lot of free features, and I'll go over that you can use for free. Come September, they might decide, well, we're going to allow you to also access the free features like they did in the spring. So they might change it. I mean, for right now, they're only giving you 90 days once you sign up. After the 90 days, come September, they might allow you to have access to everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Miss Gianni, I'm recording this. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you.
Are you saying, excuse me, I'm sorry, Silvia, I'm Gail Walk. I've just joined your group today. It's
Hi.
great to be here. Hello to everyone. I hope everyone is safe and healthy. My question is, you're saying that today's workshop is on Peer Deck?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for being.
No problem. So I always, I posted it on, I believe, Saturday, what the workshops were going to be for this week. So it's in the Google Classroom.
Okay.
That I do. I always post beforehand so that you know ahead of time what, workshops I'll be doing.
Thank you.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so let me share my screen. So today I'm also, I have some stuff that I have posted onto the Google Classroom that will post around noon. If you have any questions about any of that stuff, I think you're gonna like what I post. So I'm not gonna reveal what I posted because I want it to be a surprise. It's actually something really cool because some of you were asking me how to do this, and I figured it out. So I shared all that information with you. It will automatically post to our Google Classroom after this presentation, so at noon. So be on the lookout for that. I hope you get excited about it as much as I had fun creating it. So everything will post at noon. All right. So Peer Deck. What is Peer Deck? Peer Deck is basically embedded into your Google Slides, and it was really built to support, our active learners, and it really empowers us as teachers to really hear a little bit from our students every day, whether we're in the classroom or whether we're in a remote setting. So even though if we go back to the building, or even if some of us do go back to the building, you can still use Peer Deck in the classroom. I think there's a lot of interaction that goes along with Peer Deck, so I think it's fun to, kind of use it in that sense of even show you what the questionings you can ask the students or how to use it. And I think it'll be nice even as a warm-up activity from you know, the school or the classroom as well. So basically, there's these types of Pear Deck activities. So some of you might be familiar with Pear Deck more than even I am. I mean, I really learned a lot about it from exploring and really researching what it did. I really wasn't familiar with it until I really kind of learned about it. So basically, when you open up Pear Deck and you sign up for your account, you basically have, like, you can create lesson, you can choose a prompt, you could create a vocabulary list. So these are the types of things that you can do, especially for our older population where we are introducing vocabulary. We can use Pear Deck to introduce it and make the activity on vocabulary a little bit more engaging. So there's, like, they have actually updated the new version of Pear Deck with different add-ons, which makes it a little bit more user friendly. And once you get the hang of using Pear Deck, it really is not that hard to use. It's a matter of, like, really playing around with the templates or even creating your own. The nice thing about it is that they have a lot of pre-made templates already for you. So you really don't have to, like, really think about, oh my God, I don't know how to create, you know, this. So basically, what the nice thing about their library is that they give you slides for beginning of your lesson, during your lesson, and the end of your lesson. So you can change any of these. I'm sorry? Did you have a question? Okay. So now now that they've updated new features and have add-ons onto Pear Deck, when you run the Pear Deck add-on, it will be very easy to use, and you'll get this interactive sidebar with options. Before, apparently they did not have all of these options, and they've updated to kind of make it easier for us to use it. So you have the present with Pear Deck. So you would click this when you are done creating your slideshow and you're ready to present this to the students. You have the slide library here, which I said, you know, you can pick slides, and I'll show you this as we go through it. You can pick slides for the beginning of your lesson, during your lesson, and the end. And then you have this option here where it allows you to be as creative as you want. And here is where you add interactive elements to an already existing slide rather than inserting a new slide from the library. So let's say you have created a lesson, you want to insert some interactive slides in there so that you can make it, you know, a little bit more fun for the students. At the end of this presentation, I actually will show you one of my slides that I created, a lesson that I created, and then I will show you what I did with it when I added some Pear Deck slides on there, so that you can tell see the difference. So the pre-made templates that they have, one of the biggest changes that they made to Pear Deck is that they have included 21 new pre-made interactive templates, right? And these can all be found and inserted from the slide library section of the add-on sidebar. And the templates are organized by these 3 categories, right? So you don't really have to make your own. I'm sorry. I hope everybody's good. Okay. So you, like, at the beginning when you're first learning this, maybe you might be like, this is just too overwhelming. I don't even know where to begin. Start out with the pre-made there, right? And then you can, as you get more comfortable with using Pear Deck, then you can explore creating your own questions or your own types of slides. So at the beginning of a lesson, right, these interactive slides is where you would introduce the lesson, or you ask, you engage in prior knowledge before you start your presentation. That's where that can happen.
Sylvia, before we do anything else, do we need to add on the the Peer Deck Chrome extension
No,
prior?
no, it's already embedded into your Google Slides add-on. So the district
Okay,
has already put it there for you.
okay. So if we want to put it up on our screen like we did with the others, we just search, we would just wait for the email so we could just activate it and put it up on our screen because you said it's already embedded.
So I'll show you where to find it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so if you decide to do one of the pre-made templates, I actually copied two possible options that you have. So one of them is, what do you want to know about today's topic? So that can be where students would write a response on their side, right? Or you can even do a slide where you drag your dot to show if you're ready to move on in the beginning of a would manipulate the slide, the dot, and put it if they're ready to move on. So this is something you can insert in the beginning. There's actually more than these two, but I just wanted to show you what some of the slides, two of the slides that you can use for the beginning of a lesson. So the next one I wanted to show you is during. So these are two templates that you can use for during a lesson. Even though they are pre-made, like for example here, if I wanted to change what it said here on this slide, I can actually go and customize it to what I wanted it to say. The same thing with this one. Here, the students, it says for you to drag your dot to how you're feeling. But maybe you can reword this question to say, drag your dot to tell me, how much you're understanding, so keep going, I'm a little confused, or stop, I need help. So this is a great way to really, kind of gauge whether your students are understanding what you're teaching them. So this is like a good stopping point and where you can say, oh, well, a lot of kids are feeling confused. Let me, stop and let me explain or, do something different. So this is a great thing to do during a middle of a lesson to really gauge if you should move on or not. So at the end of a lesson, these are two templates that they have, two of the templates they have. One of them I picked in 1 minute, write the most important thing from today's lesson. Now, obviously, if you have younger students, I would pick, something like this where they can just pick one of the faces and I would change the question. So obviously you have to be mindful of the students you have in front of you, but for the lower kids, you can even pick, did you enjoy today's lesson? And they could, pick which smiley face or how they're feeling about today's lesson. And this is like a drawing slide. So at the bottom of every slide, it will tell you what type of slide it is that you're inserting. So here it says students draw anywhere on the slide. So they would be able to draw a circle around the smiley face or, whatever face they are feeling. So it'll tell you if it's a text slide or a multiple choice slide, always at the bottom of the slide, it'll tell you what type of slide you are inserting. And the end of the lesson too, templates are also good to, insert like an exit ticket here or kind of have the students reflect on what they have learned from the lesson. So when you are creating your interactive Google Slides with Pear Deck add-on, I'd like you to keep the following things in mind when creating a Pear Deck slides. So basically, they're interactive activities, and you will need to type in the questions, type additional information, add your themes and your images directly onto the slide in order for you to do this. So like, let's say if you want, to add questions on there, right? If you're making it and not using one of the templates, you would need to add all of this information on before you make it interactive. So After adding an interactive activity to a slide, you will then see the gray bar appear along the bottom of the slide. Basically, you should not touch or change anything in the bar because the bar contains the code that makes the slide interactive. So if you are not using one of the pre-made slides and you're deciding to make it on your own, once you pick whether you want it to be a question slide, and I'll go, show you that, and you pick to make it interactive, then don't touch anything on the bottom because then it won't make it interactive if you change. It's coded in a way that allows it to be interactive. To see what interactive activity you have added to the slide, look at the notes for the slide. So Pear Deck will automatically record a description of all interactive activities in that space, just like I showed you here. So this is the gray bar that you would see, and then it tells you exactly what kind of slide you're creating. This is if you don't use the pre-made ones. If you decide you want to change an interactive slide, you cannot change it in the notes section of the slide. You have to go back to the slide you want to change and then click the blue question icon again to change it. If you no longer want it to be,
I actually,
if you don't want it to be multiple choice and you want it to be, true, false, you want them to just drag and drop, depending on how you want it to be, right? You can't really change it on the actual slide. So basically, when you click the template library in the Pear Deck toolbar, you can access hundreds of the pre-made interactive templates. And they have done it in a way where you can sort by subject and the part of the lesson that you want to teach. So if you're looking for a pre-made slide for the beginning of the lesson, then you would go click on beginning and you can search for the pre-made ones there. Okay. So how to create your Pear Deck account. So if you are new to Pear Deck and you've never had an account before, basically your Pear Deck slides are created with Google Slides or PowerPoint online. You can use Pear Deck with PowerPoint, but for the most part, I use it on Google Slides because it's automatically added on. And you can combine the editing power of Google Slides or PowerPoint with the interactive engagement power of Pear Deck. I like using it with Google Slides better just because there's more things that you can do with the Google Slides than PowerPoint. So basically, you can go to peardeck.com or you can do the login from the add-on on Google Slides.
Sylvia, it says when you go on to teacher login, it has login with Google or login with Microsoft. You would just recommend login with Google, correct?
Yes, I have that somewhere here on this slide. So,
all right.
So you would click teacher login the first time you come here, and then you're going to be prompted to create your Pear Deck account, and it really takes a couple of seconds. And then we already have it as an add-on on our Google Slides. I believe the district has put it on everybody's computer, so it should be there when you open up your Google Slides. They're also going to ask you to grant permission to allow Pear Deck to access your files, and you want to give them permission, because if you don't give them permission, they won't, and you have a Google slide that you want to embed with Pear Deck, it won't allow you to access your files if you say you don't want them to access your files. So to go to your Pear Deck home screen anytime, you can create a lesson, see your presentation session data. You can open your, I can't even see what's on my slide here. You can open your account settings at any time. So once you log in and you create your account, basically just follow the prompts and it's going to walk you through as to how you should, what else you need to add. It's also going to ask you for your school name. So you can add that as well. And then I put in to log in with Google because you don't want to remember another password or username. So to create your slides, you'll create all of your Pear Deck lessons or presentations in Google Slides or PowerPoint Online.
Question, Sylvia. So it says authorize with Google and has all of them. Just click on
Yes.
authorize. Okay. Sorry
Yes.
about that. Okay.
So basically, I wanted to let you know that you could do it in PowerPoint if you wanted to. I did not explore the PowerPoint option. I just did Google Slides. So basically, when you click to create a lesson presentation on your Pear Deck home, you will land in Google Slides. And now you can build interactive slides from scratch or add pre-made slide templates to your presentation. So if you want all of your slides to be interactive, then you can just create interactive slides using Pear Deck. If you want to embed them with some of your just giving them instruction and then have some interactive, you can do both, right? So basically, you need to have you can add Pear Deck interactive slides and slide templates to pre-existing Google or PowerPoint online presentations. So I did that to show you at the end of the lesson because I wanted you to see that you can actually embed these interactive slides into something that you have already, so that you don't have to start from scratch. So this is how you would create your slides. And Yolanda, this is where you would go whenever you open up Google Slides. So when you open up a new Google Slides or any presentation, it's you're going to click here on add-ons, and then Pear Deck should already be there. And you would click Pear Deck, and then you would click on Open Pear Deck add-on. And then you should be able to get that sidebar. So if you want to add slides to a pre-existing Google Slides that you already created or lesson, then you would first open up your lesson and then click on the add-ons Pear Deck and then open up the Pear Deck.
Will it, once I add it on, that's it? Or I have to always, because with the others, the add-ons are right on the top bar once I place them there. Are you saying once I add it on, I have to do this all the time when I'm, creating a slide, or it should be automatically up there on the sidebar?
It will never show up on the Omni box. It will only show up here.
Okay, but once I add it on, will it be permanently up at the sidebar, or I have to put the add-on all the time?
So in order to access Pear Deck, you have to click on add-on and then click Pear Deck. It's only like two steps. So whenever you want.
But that's every time. But I'm saying, is that every time? Okay, that's what I need to clarify. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yeah, because it's not going to automatically pop up because you might not want to make every slide or every presentation interactive. So if you want to add 1 or 2 interactive slides to your lesson, then you would have to click add-ons and then Pear Deck to add the interactive part to your lesson. So like what you're talking about are the Chrome extensions. Those will appear in your Omni box, but something like this, such as Nearpod, will always appear here in your add-ons. So in the Pear Deck sidebar, when you get that sidebar, like I showed you at the beginning, you're going to go to ask a students a question section to add an interactive response for students to the slide. And you can also open the template library to insert pre-made interactive slide templates to your presentation. So you really have the freedom to really make it your own question, design your own questions, or use the pre-made templates that are already there for you. So how would you add? So I wanted to show you how to add the pre-made slide templates to your presentation. So Pear Deck is really great for giving formative think critically and more deeply about any subject. So the nice thing about the pre-made Pear Deck slide templates, decks and lessons, are really built to help develop some of these skills, and as well as really demonstrate to us as educators what they know, right? And what or they don't know. And the nice thing about it is that when you kind of show them the results, there's no names, so students won't feel intimidated for getting the wrong answer. So on your teacher dashboard, you can see who did what. But when you're presenting to the students, you will kind of like not make anybody feel like, oh my God, I didn't know the answer. You know, I'm the only one that didn't know, or because they won't know, they don't see names. So this is the nice thing about it, is that students can have, you know, feel more relieved about being like the only ones not having gotten it correctly. And the nice thing about all of the pre-made slides is that they're free. All of the content is free there. So here's what the slide template looks like in Google Slides, where you'll add it to your deck before you present your session. So anything that you want to add to your Google Slides presentation has to be done. And then whenever you're ready, you would do start lesson with the students. And I'll show you that. So what I like about here, if Pear Deck actually extends the premium for free for the rest of the year, is the drawing, and especially for our little kids. They might, this is a really cool feature because they can actually draw. Now, I don't promise you that they're going to extend. I don't know what they're going to do, but for at least 90 days, which is like, even if you sign up towards, you know, in the August, you still get at least September and October to be able to really use this part of the premium package. So basically, when you do a drawing slide, the children have an opportunity to draw their response. So it can actually pick a set of colors to, you know, show their drawing. And they also have an option to type if they want to. So let's say you ask them, draw a picture that begins with, you know, the letter A for kindergarten. And, you know, if they know how to write any letters that they hear in the word apple, they can type it here too. So they have the option to do that. So this is a nice way to get the students to draw something as opposed to always writing. And this is what it would look like from the student view. Okay. Here's more things that you can do to your from the already pre-existing you know, templates. So if you're looking for a Venn diagram, you can open up the template library and click on science section to find it, and you would actually find Venn diagrams on there. There's like maps on there. There's, you know, so many like different things that, I kid you not, when I was researching Pear Deck, there was so much information on Pear Deck that it was like kind of overwhelming at the beginning, because I was like, there's so much you can do. Like you kind of have to take it all in. And I was like surprised how much you can actually do with Pear Deck. And the nice thing is that they sorted by the different subjects, so you can easily, if you're looking for math templates, interactive templates, you would go to math, and then they would show you all of those templates there. And then you would, so you can click the category, click on the template to add it to your presentation, and then make it yours. So like I said, they already have a question. You can easily change the question there to whatever it is that you want. So even though it's a pre-made slide, there's still some aspects of the slide that you can make it your own. Change it to whatever you feel fits the needs of your lesson. So they have 5 different interactive question types. When deciding how you want to make your presentation interactive, there's 5 different questions that you can ask your students. So one of the ones that a lot of teachers might like are the draggable response questions. So here the students respond by dragging objects over the slide, in an instructor or student-paced presentation session. And I'm going to explain the difference between what is an instructor presentation session and a student-paced. They're different, but similar, but yet different. And I'll explain that. For example, you can have them drag pins over a map. Let's say you're doing a social studies lesson and you're talking about different parts in a map. You can have them drag the pins onto the different parts of the map. So you would put your question, instructions, and an image on a slide, and then open the Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on or the PowerPoint. And then in the sidebar, scroll down to Ask Students a Question section and click Draggable. So let's say you don't want to use one of the pre-made templates and you want to put your own map. So you're going to ask the students the questions. You're going to put the images that you want. And then when you get to the sidebar and you want to make that slide interactive and a slide that is draggable, you would click on draggable, and then it automatically codes the slide in a way that makes it interactive. Does everyone understand what, so far?
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. So let's say you decided that the templates that they have on there do not fit your needs for your specific lesson, but you want to create a draggable lesson. So you're teaching a social studies lesson and they don't have the map of the United States on there. So
But
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I saw you switch to the real tech on one of the other ones when it was hooked up to the webcam.
Can you repeat that again?
Is my webcam okay? When I go to record on my webcam, it's going to be using the webcam's audio sound or my speakers?
So when I record the slide, is that what you're saying?
What I saw you switch to real tech on some other thing. It was hooked up with my webcam.
Was that in one of the slides that I showed you? I'm not sure what the
You
question.
know what? You did it when you first got onto WebEx, before you got onto WebEx, before you joined the meeting.
Okay. And then
Can we see how the way it is? Can we get out of this, out of the WebEx?
I'm sorry? I'm not sure what the question was. Okay, sorry about that. So basically, if you are creating a slide from scratch and you don't like any of the pre-made ones, first you would add everything that you want on your slide, and then you would do click on add-on, and then you would do Pear Deck, and then you would click what type of slide you wanted to add. So whether it's a draggable, if you want to do draggable to drag pins over a map, if you were teaching social studies.
So you select your image, you insert it onto the slide, and then you go, and then while you're on that image, you then select add-on.
Yeah, so first I would put everything that I want on the slide. So my question, my image, right? Whatever it is that I want the students to see on the slide. And then to make it interactive, I would then, after I'm done completing the slide, I would then click on add-on, Pear Deck, and then I would choose what type of interactive slide I want it to become.
Sylvia, could I
Yes.
make a recommendation?
Sure.
I'm really visual.
Mhm.
I see what you have written down.
So,
Is it possible to show us the steps visually? I know what you're saying here, but it helps when you actually see the steps.
yeah, I will show you towards the end. I just
All
want
right,
to explain everything
I see.
before I
Okay.
show you at the end.
All right. Thank you so much, because that would help. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. So I want to explain everything, what it does, and then go back and show you. I think it's easier. And then, so basically in the pop-up menu, you'll get, the arrows where you can select up to, what you want to do as far as like the questioning, right? And then you use the drop-down arrows to select the icons you want if you're doing a draggable interactive slide. And then you can pick color boxes to change the colors and drag the sliders to adjust the sides, like how big you want them to be. And then when you're finished, you click update the slide and that'll show you. So I wanted to go over everything and then actually show you what it looks like. So here is what your screen would look like during a draggable response, right? So let's say you want to start, you have created your slide here, right? And then they give you options as to how many pins you would want if you're doing maps. You can add another option, or you can even only just have 2 options. And then you would pick what size it is that you want. So here's your sidebar. This is where you would pick draggable in this little box here. That's the draggable icon. Want to make your slide interactive, but draggable. And then basically what happens is after this is done and you've picked what size and what colors you want to use, you update your slide, and then you're going to get that gray bar at the bottom of your slide telling you what type of slide it is. And then it also will tell you this is a Pear Deck draggable slide. And then if you want to edit the questions, you have to actually come back here. If you want to edit the type of question, if you want to make it a drawing slide, then you have to come here and change it. So like I said, the responses are always anonymous on the projector view. So when you are projecting this to your students, the students will never know who did what, who put the pin on what part. Only you would be able to see that on your teacher dashboard. So with Pear Deck, they actually give you different options, right? So you have 3 little options here. The overlay option, which is this one here. It would show you, this is how it would present to the students if you click the overlay layout. And you would see everybody's responses like this. If you pick the grid layout, okay, which is this one here, this is how it would present it to the students. So you would see everyone that responded to the question, right? You would see it like this. And then the other layout that they have, which would be the teacher dashboard layout. And it tells you how many students responded to the question, okay? And if you click the different pins, it'll show you where they show up on the map. So you can select which type of icons you want to show on the projector when you do the teacher dashboard.
Is it best to then use Pear Deck when you're actively teaching? Like, let's say you have a Cisco.
Yeah.
So you can't create a slide and then share it with the students to complete as you would if you were doing a Google slide or a Google Docs or a Google Form.
I wouldn't give them the whole thing, but there's a part of my presentation where I tell you you can assign the rest to your students for homework and how to do that. I wouldn't do the whole presentation with them. Like I wouldn't give this an interactive slide like this for them to do on their own. Like maybe there's a part of the assignment or of the lesson where you say, I now want you to complete this section of the lesson as a homework assignment. But I wouldn't do the whole thing. This would be more, I would recommend using.
Okay.
can we add feedback? Like, say a student gives an answer, can we say great job? Or like, do we write it to the individual student or will we have to verbally let them know?
So there's a part on here in the slide that I talked about that. So I'll get to that part, Tiffany. So the next type of question is the interactive question. Of the interactive ones is the drawing response. Now, the thing is, with the drawing, it's part of the premium package. So if Pear Deck does not decide to give us the free for the rest of the school year, like they did in the spring, then I don't know if we'll have this after the 90 days. So the nice thing about the drawing is that the students can actually draw their answer. So, and this is what it would look like. So let's say you're doing a math lesson, okay? You would click the drawing tool and then the students could actually draw to show their response. So basically, let's say you created something, a slide, and you want them to be able to draw on there, then you would set up the question, set up your graph or whatever it is that you want to instruct the students with. And then if you want to make it interactive where the students are showing you where 2x + 5 is on here, then you would click into the drawing tool and it would embed code the slide to make it in a way that students can actually draw their answer. So this is what, again, they have the 3 different layouts: the list layout, the overlay where it would show everything here, and then the grid, everybody individually. So those are the 3 different layouts that you can project to the students. And then you have the free response text, which is great for ELA teachers when you're responding to a text or a book that you're reading or a passage. So if I give you an example, if you are asking about a character in a story that you're reading, I gave you To Kill a Mockingbird, and who this quote belongs to. So basically I would put my question, my instructions, an image if I wanted to, and then I would open up Pear Deck. I would do Google Slide add-ons, and then I would ask students a question, and here I would click on the text option because I want students to actually write a response. So, and this is what it would look like. So I ask my question, which character in To Kill a Mockingbird does this quote belong to? And then I put the quote, and then to make it interactive, I would just click here, the ABC box, and it would make it interactive. And then here, this is a text. Again, it'll show you, this is a Pear Deck text slide. So it's only for text. They wouldn't be able to draw. Yeah. And then there's also a number slide. This is great for math teachers, or if you're doing math. Here, students can solve an equation and leave a number response. So again, you would put your question or equation directly on the slide, and then to make it interactive, you would click here, the number, and it would make it interactive. So let's say as the math teacher, you want to say, solve this equation, you give them the equation, you click it, the number, and then it's going to make this interactive. So for example, when they reach a number response slide, students will be able to type a number in the student view. When you click show responses, you can display answers in 2 ways: the projector view. On the projected view, the one option is the grid layout, which shows all the individual numbers students entered, or the second, which is the default. Pear Deck always defaults to display is a box and whisker plot, and it basically shows the line, the gray dotted lines that goes the median of the answer. So it'll show you the range of where the majority of the answers fall. So it'll automatically default to this. So if you want to change it, then you would have to change it to a grid layout. And you get that option at the top of the screen when you're presenting it. And then also, if there are extreme outliers, use the magnifier tool to zoom in and leave the outliers out. Like if there's a lot of students that got it wrong, you can actually zoom all of that. So this is what it would look like, right? So here's your grid layout. That means everybody's response would be visible. If you can see here, nobody has their name on the slide. So nobody knows who did what. The overlay layout will show you where the range of responses fell, and it'll show you the dots of where the answers were here. So it depends on how you want to display the answers to the students. Even if you display it like this, they still won't know which student answered what question or who gave which response. Then you have the multiple choice. So here, whereas this type of question is where you have, you can select one of the predefined answers, and it depends on the question. It can be a great idea to supply multiple defensible, multiple answers where you can challenge the students and kind of spark a discussion about a particular question. Unfortunately, there's not a way for you to set or indicate a correct answer on the multiple choice slide. So unlike when you use Google Forms, you can't pick the correct answer. You can pick the correct answer here with Pear Deck. It doesn't give you the option to choose which was the correct answer. So it won't correct it for you like Google Forms. So if you choose to do a multiple choice, you would put your questions, your instructions, or images. That's if you do not want to use one of the pre-made slides. And then again, you would click the Pear Deck add-on to add on and make it a multiple choice question. And this is what it would look like. So you pick multiple choice. You can have 4 options, you can have 3 options, or 2. So you would just click the X if you want to remove any of the options from here. If you want to add another one, then you would add another one and then click Update Slide. Okay. So the nice thing about Pear Deck is that they're automatically saved as soon as you create them. So here's how you would reopen them. In your from Pear Deck for Google Slides presentations can always be found in your Google Drive. So if you launch your presentation from your Pear Deck home, it is saved in the Google Drive Pear Deck folder, which is created for you once you set up your Pear Deck account. You can also find all your Pear Deck presentations in the Google Slides app, because they are built in Google Slides. So if you go to, the 6 little dots and you click on there and you go to Google Slides, you will also find your Pear Deck slides there. And then you can also see recent files on your Pear Deck homepage for quick access. And I'll show you this.
The slides are automatically saved in multiple folders.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. So to present your lesson, students must join a Pear Deck session in order to engage and respond to your interactive slides. So if they don't join your lesson, then they won't be able to actually interact or be part of your session. So this is how you would do it. So you would open up the Pear Deck sidebar and then click the green Present Lesson to start your lesson, right? If you choose the instructor paste, the projector view opens for you. If you choose student paste mode, and you would have to have a premium account to do this, the dashboard view opens automatically. So the difference between a student paste and an instructor paste activity is that the instructor paste activity is controlled by the teacher. a student-paced lesson is controlled by the student. So let's say you gave them, you're using this as an assessment, but you don't want to hold certain students up because some work faster than others, then you would do the student-paced activity so that they can work at their own pace while you're still monitoring them. If you are doing most of the interaction and you want students to not go ahead of you, then definitely you should pick the instructor-paced activity because you want to make sure that they aren't going ahead. So depending on how you are going to conduct your lesson. But again, if we don't have a premium account, we won't have the option of having a student-paced activity. So hopefully, you know, Pear Deck will be nice and say, we're going to give you all access come September. But I'm not sure. Okay, so once all of that is done, you have to give students the join code or join link from the projector view or the dashboard view to enter your session and leave responses. And I'm going to show you what that looks like too. Okay. So when you present your lesson, when you're ready to start, your slides will be displayed on the students' devices. From the teacher device, this is what you can do. You can go to the previous slide or next slide, see all the slides from the slide navigator, project student responses, lock or unlock a slide. And this is a very important feature. The reason why it's so important is that, let's say you have projected an interactive slide and the students, you know, for the most part have responded, and you do not want any more responses on that slide. You know, time's up. You want them to listen to what you have to say or your discussion about that particular slide. I would lock the slide. That allows students to not be able to do anything, and then they would have to be engaged on whatever it is that you are discussing in regards to that slide. So let's say you had a text question where the students were discussing a character in a story and they wrote some information about that character. Now, you don't want any more responses. Time's up. I need you to listen. You know, you're going to lock the slide because now students can't add anything else onto the slides, and you're going to discuss what the responses were. So this is a nice feature for you to actually bring the students back from what they were doing. It won't allow them to do anything else until you unlock the slide again. You can add new questions. You can make a new slide full screen. You can open your dashboard in a new tab under more right here so that you can see the students' responses, or you can end a session under more as well. So you wouldn't end a session until you are ready to end the session, or you know, your time is up and you say, well, you can do this last slide for homework, and I'll show you what that looks like. So how to insert audio recording onto a slide. The nice thing about this too is that you can insert audio here. In Google Slides, you would open up the Pear Deck for Google Slide add-on. You would open any slide, and in Pear Deck sidebar, scroll down and click on the Add Audio to the side button. This is great for the little kids, right? If you are doing a warm-up and you have the struggling readers where you ask them to read a sentence per se and then answer a question. You can add audio so that the students that struggle with it can actually play what you had to say. So that's a nice feature as well. Or if you're doing it as a homework assignment for a specific slide, then you can add audio there. Or maybe you even want to have students listen to a particular, you know, little piece from a book you're reading. I want you to listen to this part and tell me what you felt about it. What did it make you think about? So you can do that as well. So the first time that you ever do this, you need to allow access to your microphone when prompted in your browser. So this is how you would insert the audio. In the new window, click record or upload. Let's say you have a piece of music on your computer saved and you teach music and you would like children to listen to this music for certain notes or tone or, I'm not too familiar with all that music language, but you can actually insert the recording and have the students do a specific task to that recording. So you would click record and you would start speaking or recording any background audio. And then the timer runs while you record. And then when you're done, click pause. You can delete or save. Let's say you made a mistake, you can delete it. If you save it, click the play button to preview it so that you really hear what it is that was recorded to make sure that it's actually clear for the students. And then if you're satisfied with your recording, click add audio to slide. And then it would add the audio. And then how would you insert it? So when you're done, you click the blue add audio to slide button. So a small gray object would be here inserted into the slide. And that tells you it has audio. So it'll probably just randomly put it on your slide. If you want, you can actually move the object anywhere on the slide. You can change it or replace the recording. If you're not happy with it after you've created the recording, you can actually add the same audio file to multiple slides. So let's say you want to give directions about a specific slide. If you are doing this as homework, you can. Like if I was doing this for instruction purpose only, then I would not include certain things on the slide. But if you're using it as homework, then I would add audio maybe to the students to give them detailed instructions on what I wanted them to do. But again, be mindful of like what you're giving them as far as homework. I wouldn't do this as a first assignment. Like I would practice a little bit with the students prior to giving this as a homework assignment. So I would get them familiar with Pear Deck and what to do or what expectations are before I would give it to them as a homework assignment. I have a question. Will Pear Deck work if I share it with someone who has not downloaded the extension? Yeah, you can actually access Pear Deck. If you go to peardeck.com and click, or if you share the link with them, and I'll show you how to share it. When you share the link with them, all they need is the code to get onto your account and they can access it. So you don't even really need to have the add-on. The add-on is needed more for you to be able to create it. To actually do it, you really don't need it. So here was the question about responses and feedback. When your session is over, there's a couple of ways to review and provide feedback to your students. So I don't think I saw anything about being able to provide feedback to the students on the spot. I didn't see any of that. I did see that you can export the student answers to the Google Sheet. And then this is a great way you can make a quiz out of it, or especially if they're all multiple choice or text responses, you can actually then make it, you would have to actually correct it yourself because it doesn't grade it for you like Google Forms. And then you can download the sheet. I linked this here because apparently it says that it will automatically grade a quiz and send grade reports to your students. I have not tried it. When I was researching Pear Deck, they did say that, this add-on, but again, I don't know if they're going to allow us to add that on to our work computer. We would have to reach out to them. And then the other way to review answers and leave feedback is in your teacher dashboard. Again, we're going to be limited on what we can do if we don't have the premium features. So we will have them for 9 days or over. If Pear Deck does not decide to provide the premium features for us for free, then we're going to be limited on what we will be able to do. So if we do have, oh, good. Can you tell, somebody just said they added it. Can you tell us about it? Because I don't really know too much about it, if you don't mind sharing. Michelle.
No, I don't mind sharing. Subaru, it is an add-on, and
Were
what
you
you do
able
is
to add it on?
yeah. Well, correction.
Okay.
Years ago, the district allowed it, and I had it. And then this year after March, when we had distance learning, I tried to add it again, and it wouldn't. So I had to contact, ISD and ask them to add it, and they did.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't a problem with adding it, but it's very simple. You just, like, if it was a quiz or something, you would take the quiz, call it an answer key, and then it grades it for you and gives you a score, and it will email the students as long as they have you have the student emails input as well.
Okay.
As one of the questions,
Okay. So have you tried it with Pear Deck at all?
I haven't tried with Pear Deck. No,
Okay.
I've just tried Flubaroo and Google Forms.
Okay. Okay.
As an add-on, yeah.
So like, how would you use it? Like you just upload your Google Sheets onto there?
Well, once you have created your your quiz in Google Forms, then you will add it as an add-on. You add it as an add-on. Once you know how you can open up a spreadsheet response. You have to open up add-ons, and you click on Flubaroo, and once you do that, it allows you to assign a point system to each question.
Okay. Interesting.
And but you have to have already taken the quiz yourself, so you can choose your quiz as the answer key.
Okay.
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 All right.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
So as I was saying, like, you can click on the feedback button next to the name to send comments directly to the individuals. So this is where you would give them the feedback, Tiffany. So when in your teacher dashboard, you can provide them the feedback there. But if we don't have that feature, then we won't be able to provide them with the feedback in that way. So that's the only thing. But if you're doing it as an interactive lesson through WebEx, then I would just give them the feedback on the spot, like through, talking to them like that.
Yeah, my only concern is I'm working with high school students, and a lot of times they let the little younger brother, whoever, sister, use the laptop, so they're on their phone. So if they're on their phone through WebEx, and then I give them this too, I could see that being complicated. So I would love for it to be later, like maybe I say something and later on they go do it. But yeah, I guess hopefully the premium thing will exist.
Right. Well, that's, I know like a teacher had reached out and, she was like, well, it's bad if we don't get all these premium features that a lot of people did, like Brain Pop and Pear Deck and Epic and all those wonderful sites, and we got used to it and kind of spoiled. But unfortunately, I don't have control over that, and I guess we will have to try to kind of work around whatever it is that they give us, try to make the best of it. It's all going to be like us having to be a little bit flexible with things, I guess. So
I did have a quick question though about the Flubaroo, because I know I'm assuming that you just use your students' personal email accounts or did they somehow get it through MPS?
I haven't tried it. Michelle, how did you do it? Did you use your Google account?
It had to be through a Google account. So, I mean, you know that with the student accounts through MPS, they're not actually accounts for, I think, most students. So it would have to be a personal email that they input. So you will put like one of your questions in the beginning where you ask for their names or their class period, and then you will put in, you'll also ask for their email so they can get the responses, the scores back through their personal email.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So one of the features that I had spoken to at the beginning of the slides was that the fact that Pear Deck gives you the ability to hide the student's identity. And this is great because, sometimes students don't want to be felt like they're being, singled out for not knowing how to answer or whatever the case may be. So this is nice. Give me 1 second. Somebody's messaging. Joelle, you would have to make sure that when you're joining the Google Classroom, you need to make sure that you're using your NPS email. If not, it's not going to work. But I can, if it still doesn't work, I can talk to you at the end of class. So there are many students who are not that confident about talking or answering in front of other students. And I've seen that with a lot of my ELL students. A lot of the times they don't want to answer. They don't want to talk. They feel intimidated to talk because they're afraid they're going to say it incorrectly. So this is a nice way of getting students to really participate and be engaged and interact with you and the other students in the class without really being afraid to do so. So this allows everyone in the class an opportunity to participate and have confidence in themselves to be able to participate. So the nice thing is that you can tell your students ahead of time that things are going to be, your answers will be anonymous, and it really provides a space of comfort and protection for the students where they will feel more comfortable in answering a question. So on the dashboard, you will be able to see all of their names. So don't worry about, not knowing who answered what. So the key would be to, as students are working through the slides and answering the slides, if there's a particular slide or activity that the students did and they're really struggling with it, then you can stop and address it there or go back to it at the end and discuss it.
Sylvia, my thought on this is I'm just still thinking about when the kids, I have second grade, and usually with Google, we always put their, was it 6-digit lunch number and going through NPS and going through Chrome. Now, in light of that, is that what we're going to do on Pear Deck as well? Because, a lot of these kids, don't have personal emails.
So you don't need an email. So you can, as a teacher, when you would post the assignment, you can actually share it. And I'll show you towards, I still have a couple of slides to go through, but I can show you the different ways you can share it with your students.
Okay, but going back, I'm glad about the different ways, but going back that if I did put their 6-digit number, like I did with Google, as far as that's concerned, that worked. Will that work the same way in Pear Deck as well?
So the students will log in using Google, right, to access Pear Deck, and it will automatically, once they join, it's like how you join my Google Classroom,
Right.
Like you give them the code and they are automatically part of your Pear Deck account.
Okay, and then it has no problem as far as replying back. Okay, thanks.
They don't need a lunch number. They don't need email. They don't need any of that. So when they sign on using Google and you're ready for them to join that lesson, it's going to give you a code that you're going to project through WebEx. And then all they have to do is put that code in, and I'll show you.
All right, thank you.
So You like how I made myself dance? So that's as far as what I have in terms of the presentation. So I wanted to show you how it was going to look when I when I actually show the students and change my deck. So, oops, sorry, wrong one. So here is a slide that I had created for, this is the one that has the Pear deck on it. And let me show you the one that does not. So I had created this lesson for my students in the fall. So here was just a regular lesson where I basically had a few instructions and I did a screencastify for them, right? So when I went back and I decided to add interactive slides, right? So here's my interactive slide here. I have another one here and I changed the question. And they had put a different question here and I ended up changing it. So, and then I have these other questions. And then I added another interactive slide. And then it says draw or type 2 things you learned in today's lesson. And then that was it. So I added interactive slides for the students. So I'm going to open, oops, not this one. Hold on. Here, deck. Okay, so I'm going to, you see this opens up here. So if I wanted to add more things on here, I could. Let's say I wanted to add another slide from the template for my end of the lesson. Let's see. So right here, how well did you do? How well did you like this lesson? So I click it and it'll add it here. If I want to change the question, I will just click here, right? And then I can change it. And then this is where they would drag. They'll automatically, it's already coded like that. I don't have to do any of that. And then they would drag the icon. So remember I said, oops, sorry. I said not to touch this part here because if we touch any of this, then it's going to, you know, mess up the coding. So I had signed up and it tells me here I have still 86 days left of the premium account. So I don't know if they're going to let us have the premium account the whole time. And then I would click start lesson. And it's because I have the premium, it lets me have the option. So the student pace allows you to get all the power of the Pear deck engagement to the students. So they would work on the Pear deck that you assign to them at their own pace. They would not have to worry about, you know, who's here, who's there, let's wait for each other, depending on what you're doing. The instructor paced activity would be like real time. So if you're doing a virtual lesson with the students, I would definitely recommend doing the instructor paced activity. So it was launched, the presentation. And then this is what code you have to give to the students. So you can give students a link, right? So you can click here, this here, and the link is copied, and then you can post it onto your Google Classroom for the students. Or students can go to peardeck.com, right? And then click here, join session. and then they would have to enter the code. Does that answer your question, Yolanda? So that's another way for them to join. So you can.
Can we try it out with yours? Can we try joining it?
Sure.
Can you, is it possible for you to put the code in Google Classroom or no? Or it's best to.
I can get the and put it onto the Google Classroom. So just give me 1 second. So I'll put it in the stream.
Code different will be different for each session?
Yes. So every session that you create, the code will be different. So here's the code. Let's see if it works. So see if you guys can get on. Oops. So it says it looks like 2 students are connected. Okay.
I guess, where do you see how many students are in?
Okay, so. And you see here, you can student paste mode at any time. So I would open up my dashboard. And then it says 6 out of 7 students. I don't know if you're seeing that.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So in your teacher dashboard here, when you open it up in a new window, it will show you how many students are on. So let's see if you guys can interact. So this is where you would write a response. So go ahead. Are you guys able to write?
Yes.
Okay. So right now it's telling me I have 7 out of 12 responses, 9. So on your side, as the teacher, you see how many students have responded.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time typing in. What do you do in order to respond?
Can anyone, I don't know what the student view looks like on my end. Can somebody share what the student view?
Oh, there's a open box to the right and all the way at the bottom, which I just found, you have to press answer question. There's like a little green button at the bottom once when you're done typing.
I don't see the green button.
Depending on the size of your screen, it's all the way at the bottom. You have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the Google
Yeah, I think you have
slide
to
or the Pear deck.
Yeah. Okay, there's about 12, 13. So one more per 14 responses. Okay, so let me show you what the responses are, what they look like. So this is what the responses look like in the list layout. And then I could do a grid layout for this type of question. And then if you see, so somebody's still typing here, the response. Okay, and you can see the responses. So if I wanted to discuss, and a lot of the students did not know what a verb would be, then this is where you would go and have your discussion. So do you see how you could see, it tells you how you can see the responses. There's no names, right? So let's say a student also joins late. They can, the code will always be here for them to come on. Let's say a lot of the kids got the question wrong. you can add another prompt to the question here if you wanted to add another question. Okay. And then I can hide the responses, and it takes me back to this slide. And then I have this one here where I talk about the different verbs, right? And now I've talked about the verbs, and now I want you to say whether it's true or false. So you would pick your answer to my question. If I wanted to add audio here, I could, but I would have to have done it prior to doing the presentation. I don't know.
Hello,
Yes.
Sylvia. I typed in the chat. I don't have your code to get into your Google Classroom. Could you give me
Okay.
that? This is Gail Walker.
Sure. Can I give it to you at the end of class, if that's okay?
Okay, then. I thought maybe I needed to get it to you where you are.
Oh, if you want to do the presentation, if you want to participate, you would need it. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I'm
So
yeah.
somebody actually typed it in the chat, but I'll go back and
Okay, I will look for, because I don't want to distract you and the other guys, but I'll look for it. I don't.
I just posted it. I just posted it in the chat. So just make
Okay,
sure
thank you.
that it's an L and not the number 1. And
Okay,
make sure
great.
that you're logging in with your NPS email.
Okay, thank you. I'll do that right now.
Nope.
Hi, Marla.
I have a question. The teacher dashboard that you just showed, is that the one that we're going to get even with the free account, or is that something that we're only going to get with premium?
So I'm not sure. I see it says with premium only. So I don't know, like if there's certain parts of the teacher dashboard that will be available when we don't have the premium account. So I'm sorry, Tiffany, like I don't have the answer to that. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be parts of the dashboard that we should be able to access, but I'm not sure. See, because all of spring, all of these features were free. So nobody really knew what parts of the Pear Deck we were not allowed to use or did not have access to. So I guess once, you know, the 90 days are over, I can keep you posted. Do students find it difficult to go from WebEx to Pear Deck? The younger students might have a little difficulty because you need to be able to have 2 windows open at the same time in order to have this interactive, you know, slides going on, because you need to have the WebEx open and then also have your Pear Deck be able to manage to go onto your Pear Deck. So our younger students might have a little bit of difficulty, you know, being able to do both without assistance. So our older students, this will be easy for them, but for the younger ones, they might need an adult or an older sibling to assist, at least until they get the hang of it. Because you'll be surprised, like some students, like our younger students, will pick up on things very quickly. Like my son was in kindergarten last school year, and he was able to, you know, after a while, he picked it up pretty quickly. Even like when he does speech therapy with his therapist on Zoom, he's able to manage the session on his own. So they do pick up really quickly once you show them, you know, a few times. Okay, so I'll show the responses. So here, it'll show you how many students picked true, how many picked false, and then here is the grid. So the overlay, it shows you everybody. So I'm hoping this is a feature that we will be able to have after the 90 days.
Where can you see the individual students' responses to the questions without the students' classmates seeing those answers.
So here is the grid, and these are the individual responses, the grid layout.
But you're not able to see the names to see if Johnny said true or Johnny said false?
So you would have to open up the dashboard in a new window, like I'm doing here. And here I can see who did what.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. So you really don't want to open that up for the students to see. You can do it then after, go back to the lesson and see who responded to what. So that you're really, again, you want to make this an activity where the students won't feel intimidated to actually do it and not worry about, getting a wrong answer or not doing it correctly.
So you can review the responses after you've actually ended the
Yes.
lesson, the live lesson.
Mm-hmm. You can. And then we'll do one more. So here, this is the drawing feature. You can draw or type 2 things you learned in today's lesson. So we talked about verbs, the 3 different types of verbs. So you can draw if you want to, or type. So this is like our drawing slide.
Can you click 2 different options for responses, drawing and texting, or do you have to click draw and then they can also text? How does that work?
So they could do both. They can draw and type, but I gave them the option of drawing or typing, 2 things. But if you wanted to say draw and type, you can actually change the question to say draw and type, 2 things.
And when we're setting up the slide, we can click both options?
Yeah, so this is a drawing and text slide. So if you are doing the response, at the bottom, it should show you the drawing tool and a text tool as well.
Thank you.
No problem. So you're always going to see at the bottom where it says do not remove that toolbar, because then it doesn't code, it uncodes the slide and it doesn't make it interactive. So let me show you some of the responses. Here you have some people that typed, some people that drew and typed, Ms. Pereira. So you have the option of doing both. Or I picked or to allow students to choose. So if you want students to do both, then when you are creating your slides, I would just go here and edit the question to your liking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, so it's, the children, it's nice because the children get they can play around with the fonts. They can, I know we need premium, and they can choose different colors to write their answers, insert really images, be creative about it, right? So it's kind of nice to do it in that way. So
if
yes.
I set up a lesson, can my co-teacher make modifications to my lesson? For example, if I have 4 multiple choice questions, can she make it 2 and then send it out to only a few students?
Yeah, so you can, I believe if I'm not mistaken, you can actually share this with, another teacher and they can edit. Let me see, I took some notes here. I will look into it. I don't know if you are able to share the same actual, work on the same actual presentation. I think you can possibly share it and then you can modify it, but I can look into it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Sylvia, I have a question.
Sure.
My question is, the only way the student will be able to move to the next slide is if the teacher allowed the student to continue?
Right. Because I decided to make a teacher led lesson. So if I wanted the students to work on their own, if I created a slide presentation where I want students to work at their own pace, then you can always also make it student paced. If you're doing a lesson and you want the students now to work on the remainder of the slides on their own, you would click these little 3 buttons here and then click on turn on student paced, and then they will work on it at their own pace. Again, it's a premium feature though. So if they decide not to include that, after the 90 days, we're kind of like out of that feature. So I'm hoping that Pear Deck decides to continue to provide us with all of the premium features
Thank you.
moving forward. Sure, no problem. So we did the responses. So when you do student paced, the students will go at their own pace. So I don't know if anybody wants to do this one really quick. This would be, how well do you like this lesson? And then you're dragging your dot. So these are already pre-made, the pre-made interactive slides for you. There's a ton of them already there. So at the beginning, until you feel comfortable, I would choose some of the pre-made slides that are there for you already, so that you can get a feel for what Pear Deck has to offer and what you can do. And then you can own questions. So do you see, and everybody can draw, you'll see what the responses are. So here they give you 3 different options. The overlay, which shows everybody's response. You could do grid, which would do the individual, or you can list like this. So it's nice sometimes when you're projecting and you see, what everybody did. It gives you a clear indication of where your whole class is all at once. So it really depends on how you would like to discuss your answers with the students or the responses to a specific question. And then you would hide and go to the next one. And then that's it. So let's say I had a different question here and I wanted the students to, let's say, work on this actual slide for homework, right? So let's say I've talked about the lesson, I am satisfied, but now I ran out of time and I want students to do this for homework, okay? So this is what you would want the students to do. Okay, you're going to click here. You're going, you have to edit the session name. Okay, so name the session here. So let's say I'm going to name it verbs. Okay, I'm going to save the session. Okay, and then I can actually end the session. Okay, if I want to publish takeaways, I could. But, okay. Ready to publish takeaways for this session. No, I don't want to publish takeaway. Okay. It should allow you to. So
What are takeaways?
I'm sorry.
What's a takeaway?
So let me see. I'm going to do that. Allow. So it's going to find the link for the takeaways. And then if I wanted to share it to Google Classroom, I could. So here's the link for the student takeaways. So let's see what it is. Share to Google Classroom if I wanted to. I can delete it after. Okay. Create, make an announcement. And then let's see what it looks like. So on here, it's taking a while. All right, let's see if that's taking a few minutes. Okay. So, and then you're back here to your slides. I wonder why it's taking so long. It's taking a while. It may take up to an hour to generate your takeaway. Oh my goodness, that's a long time.
Oh my goodness.
We don't have an hour. Well, I'll keep you posted. That's a long time. Oh my goodness. All right, so I'll let you know what it says. So basically, you have the option. So basically in the menu bar, you would click on the menu and then you would click edit session name and then click on leave session. And this would allow you to close your window, but students would still be able to complete their work. So I can take you back again to it. So Pear Deck. So let's see. So basically, what I found was that when now the students, you would see how if we start the lesson again, it gives you a new code. I would have to go back to the one that I did. So it gives you a new code to go back into the lesson. So I would have to go back to Pear Deck. So basically, all you have to do is on the menu bar in the navigation, you would click on edit session name and then click leave session if you want the students to complete the last slide for homework. I don't want you to make you guys log on again. So I'll let you know, Cassandra. It says it's going to take like an hour for the takeaways to load. So I'll leave it up in the Google Classroom and then we can check it out once it unloads itself. That's crazy that we would have to be here for an hour. Yeah, you can assign it where you see when I logged on, where it says the link, you can actually, like how I just posted the link onto the Google Classroom, you can also just copy the link, create an assignment for the students with instructions in your Google Classroom, and then you would tell the students what it is that you want them to complete. And it should give them, did you guys need a code to log on when you click the link? Or no?
No.
Okay, so, right, so they won't even need if you're sharing the actual link with them, they won't even need a code to log in. They would just click the link and they should be able to actually complete the assignment.
Sylvia, are you
Yes.
speaking, are you referring to when you go to your Google Classroom to the stream page and you have the link there? That's what you're
So,
referring to?
I'm
I'm talking about as far as getting to the lesson. No, I didn't have to, when you gave me the code
mhm,
to go to to get in your Google Classroom, and I clicked on the link that you had there, it took me straight to where you were. So I
right.
did not need the code.
Right. So I'm talking about like if I was going to assign this to the students. So let me share my screen with you. So in the Google Classroom, I would actually go to classwork and I would create an assignment for the students
Yes.
and then post the link there. So that's how I would do it. I posted it on the stream for you guys because it was quicker that way for you to get it. But for the students, I would actually go to classwork, create an assignment, and then in the directions, I would explain to students what it is that I would want them to do. So that's,
Or on your web page if you have your own individual web page.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
but that's how I would do it. But that's it as far as Pear Deck. There's a lot. So if they use the cell phones, they shouldn't. Like, if you're sending them the actual link and they log onto your Google Classroom, they should be able to just click the link and it should take them to the actual Pear Deck account, just like you did it on the computer. You shouldn't have to need a code. But that's as far as what I have in terms of Pear Deck. There's a lot. I mean, I just recommend really kind of exploring the different templates that are already pre-made there for you. Obviously, you know, unfortunately, if you have certain premium features come, you know, after the 90 days are up, then unfortunately, you know, we'll just have to kind of work with what we have. But it's, you know, a nice way to keep our students a little bit engaged during a specific lesson and kind of like not make it so like listening to you talk all the time.
Sylvia,
Yeah.
may I ask you a question?
Sure.
That, first of all, will this work with Flipgrid?
So Flipgrid is something different than Pear Deck.
Okay.
So I Flipgrid on Thursday.
Okay. Well,
So
here's the
they're two different
entity.
You know, yeah.
Okay, they won't, they are not interchangeable.
No.
Nothing like that. Okay.
No.
Let me ask you one other question.
Sure.
The other question I have is, I know this may not be related to what we're doing, but I noticed on your Google Classroom page, your Google Classroom, although you, or before that, you had the animated character, you dancing and stuff. Is that part
my
of the
Google
program, or is that
Slides.
is that a separate download program that you can use to insert on your slides? And I do have another question.
So let me answer your first question.
Okay.
So to make your Bitmoji dance like that, you kind of need to have Snapchat.
What is it called?
Snapchat. So I can write down the directions of what you would need to do to make your Bitmoji dance. But in order to do that, you really kind of need to have the app Snapchat, and you can make your Bitmoji dance like that.
Is Snapchat free or is it something that it's free?
Oh, could you do that, please, and send, you know, I'd love to have that to add on to make it more kid friendly, especially when you're dealing with younger children and everything. And I'm also working on a virtual classroom. So I would like to have some, you know, animated little things, as well as I've already put some, like my Google Classroom. So it's interactive. When they click on it, it goes straight to the Google Classroom.
So I have a ton of information. We actually did virtual Google Classrooms last week. So if you check out all the video and the slides, I have a ton of stuff of information in the Google Classroom in terms of virtual classrooms.
Okay, so will you post that up for that dance?
Sure.
That'd be great.
You can actually pick different, you know, yourself dancing different moves. So you just, I'll put down the steps on what you need to do to actually create your Bitmoji to move.
Let me ask you this question. If we put that in our Google Classroom, as she was mentioning, I notice anytime we do that, we have to put it in a PDF file. And because I know when you did that with the links in the digital classroom, you had a digital classroom, you had to save it and make sure that was a PDF and it worked. Will it be the same way if you did this little dancing emoji?
So if you're putting it on, the only reason why I put my virtual classroom as a PDF is that so that students do not move any of the things around. If I was to share it as a Google slide, children might still have the access to move things around, and I didn't want them to be able to. So
no, but that was good. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if we add on this dancing emoji, it would be okay, the same method of what you told us, and save it, and then when they click on the teacher, she would dance, or
She'll
we'll get them.
automatically still be dancing the whole time. She'll never stop dancing. So
Okay.
if you choose your Bitmoji to always be dancing, then your Bitmoji doesn't stop dancing.
Okay.
So I don't know. So I don't know if that's something that you want to have in your virtual classroom, as part of your virtual classroom, to have your Bitmoji always dancing.
Could you set it for 5 seconds? Is there like a set? No? Oh, okay.
So because it's a video that you kind of do on Snapchat of your Bitmoji dancing, and then you upload it. So I would not personally put it onto a virtual classroom, just because for some students it could be overwhelming looking at a person always in movement. So for some students it might be too much to handle. You can add it to like your presentations on Google Slides to make them interactive. So I would do that.
It depends on what it is. It depends on what you want to put it on. I wouldn't put it on something that, is going to distract them, but, maybe an opening of a presentation or something like that.
I agree.
Again. Another question I do want to ask you. This may sound a little redundant, but I'm going to ask it anyhow. I still am just a little bit confused. How do I get started with the Pear Deck? Do I go to Google Classroom? Do I go to the to the website first and join that way? How do I do it? What's my first step?
Okay.
Do Pear Deck. Join, to have an account. I guess that's
problem. So I already have an account, so it won't show you the steps, right? But I can show you where you would go to see. Let me share my screen. So if you're here, you can access Pear Deck by going to peardeck.com, or you can go to your Google Apps here and then go to your slides, right? If you're starting a Pear Deck from scratch, then you can do just a blank slide, right? And then I'll close my themes here to give me more space. And then I would click here, add-ons, and then do Pear Deck, and then open up Pear Deck. When you click on open, and if you don't have an account, it's gonna prompt you. You'll get a prompt to set it up.
Okay, so just to be clear, my first step would be to either go to my apps and click on slides. Mm-hmm. Okay, or either I can go to peardeck.com.
Right.
And then follow the prompt.
Right. So I like doing it through Pear Deck. Through Google Slides, because it's already here. So add on.
So that'd be the best bet to go through Google Slides.
Yeah, because like that, if you go to peardeck.com, then you have to come back to Google Slides to start your presentation. So if you're already in Google Slides, you can do everything from here and not have to go back and forth.
Okay, so our next question, you said we can do it through Google Slides, but we have to wait to see if the board is going to totally buy the whole program, or we have access to some parts of it.
You already have access to all of this. So you will get all of these features for the first 90 days, the premium package for 90 days. Like I said earlier in the presentation, during the spring, Pear Deck actually offered all of its premium features for free to teachers because of COVID. Maybe if they feel the need that the majority of our schools are doing virtual, they might say we're going to continue to do the premium features for everyone. But that's something Pear Deck would decide. I honestly don't think the district would invest additional money on something like that. So we will have access to a lot of the features. The only features that we are part of the premium package is the drawing tool and the draggable are the only questions that are part of the premium package. All the other questions you can actually you can do.
So those two particular tools may be questionable after the 90 days.
Right. Okay. But let's just pray that they give us all access throughout, you know, the time that we're home. We'll see. I mean, but that's something that we really can't control as far as, you know, the premium package. I honestly
So,
think the district would invest additional money just because money's so, like, they're allocating money to so many things right now. There's so many unknowns that I don't know.
So Sylvia, now
Yes.
that you're at this stage, what's the next step that you would do if you already have existing Google Slides or PowerPoints that you'd like to upload to Pear Deck?
So if I wanted to, if I wanted to open up one of the slides, I can click here, open. Let's see, one of my Google Slides. Okay, so I found here's a presentation that I did on fact or opinion. And if I want to add interactive slides to this presentation, let's say I want to add an interactive slide after this one, I would click add-on, Pear Deck, open Pear Deck. And then I would pick what I want. If I want to make my own question, then I would pick this. If I want to choose from the library, this is the beginning of my lesson. And I can just pick one of the pre-made slides from the beginning. If I want to do, like here you have your two slides, okay? You can pick any of these slides if you want. So it's a matter of kind of like exploring what they had. If you want math slides, you have a ton here. ELA slides, compare and contrast, story maps. So this is good, you know, for any ELA teacher. So these are some of the templates that are here that you can use. And this can possibly give you ideas of what interactive slides you'd like to create. So remember I said like here, you can actually change. I know it says king, you know, king here. You can change to, if you want to say compare and contrast, you know, the bear and the elephant. I don't know, I'm just giving an example. You can do that, right? It's totally up to you. So that's how you would add interactive slides to a pre-existing slide. And then kind of just like play around with it and explore what slides are there. So all of these features are there. The pre-made, the template library is not part of the premium package, so you will have access to that at all times.
You said it is not?
It's like, it's not, you don't need a premium package to have the library. So you can access it at any time.
Sylvia, I want to go back one step if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was listening, but I was trying to see how I was filling out, trying to get my Pear Deck, get into the system. I'm in my Google Drive, and I'm in my Google Drive, and I went to slides, and what was the next step I had to do for the package?
So if you want to open up a pre-existing slide, then look for one of your slides that you already created. If not, if you just want to start a blank presentation, then you would just click blank.
Okay.
To open up a blank one, and then click on add-ons, and then do Pear Deck, and then open.
Okay, gotcha.
You can have all of your slides be interactive.
Okay, gotcha. So I can hit the blank, then I would go to add on after I create the slide. And then I would hit the Pear Deck. Oh, got you.
Got it?
That's what it was. Mhm.
Yeah,
So
and
we
then-
have to do that every time we open up a new slide to add on the Peer Deck. So it's not like the other extensions
Right.
that are up there. Okay. And Nearpod would be the same way, and that's also embedded?
Nearpod would work the same way. So if you want to, do Nearpod, I'll go over Nearpod next week. You would
Okay.
have to do that as well.
So those two are the same ones that anytime you use it, you always have to add to it with the
Mhm.
slide. Okay, all right.
Yep,
Thank you.
no problem. And here's where you have the add audio to a slide if you wanted to. So it's always here on the right-hand side of your, so here you can publish and share your lesson. You should always have this here so that it forces students to actually use their Google accounts to actually log on.
I'm sorry, show me again where the mic is, because I have it open myself. I have Peer Deck open.
It's
Where
okay.
did you,
So if you scroll down, you'll see, so you have your types of questions and then you have the audio here.
okay, so you just have to okay, just scroll down a bit. All right.
And that's it as far as I have it's a lot, right? Peer Deck, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of things that you kind of have to explore and see like what you kind of want to do with it as far as Peer Deck. But I think just exploring it and really being familiar with what they have already pre-made would be something that you might be interested in doing.
I have a question. So if I'm using Peer Deck and I'm using the microphone there, so I heard you say before you use Screencastify. So did you use Screencastify with Peer Deck?
No.
Okay.
So when I did a presentation, I wanted to show you the first presentation that I had used with Screencastify when I presented it to the students. I wanted to share it with the students. And then I wanted to show you how I edited it to make it interactive with Pear.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So I know it's past 12 o'clock. I know some of you might have things to do, but that's as much as I have for today. Tomorrow, I will be going over Boom Learning, which is also a great feature to use. I used it a lot last year. And it's also great for our little guys, the K-2. It's really, really great to use with them there.
And that's for what? I'm sorry, Nearpod, did you say? Or
Boom Learning.
Boom Learning.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, do you have 5 minutes? I wanted to share my screen. And I just, I want to let you know ahead of time that I did copy a lot of the things in your classroom. So
it's okay.
letting you know that ahead of time. Okay.
No
All right.
worries.
So I'm going to share my screen.